I bought the rarest and most collectible Vertigo Swirl and now I am broke. Before buying it, I'd never actually listened to the album. But is it actually any good? If you guys collect rare prog or folk, or you just watch our channel, you might be very well aware of a label that we love to collect, which is the Vertigo Swirl. Now there are some mega rare and collectible records on this label, but one album sits at the top. Undisputedly the most collectible and valuable record on the entire label, Dr. Z's 3 Parts to My Soul. Today I'll be talking about my most expensive vinyl purchase, telling the story of the band and the album I actually have no idea about, and then to top it all off, I'll be showing you guys my actual album up close, rating the music on a scale of 1 to 5, telling the story of how I actually got it, and then at the very end, I'll be telling you guys how much I actually dropped on this absolute gem. Stick around. So as I said, I actually don't know much about Dr. Z, if anything at all. Hadn't listened to the album before purchasing. I love collecting the Vertigo label, and I love prog rock, so it's always been near the top of my list. I figured now that I've dropped mega money on this gem, now's the time to educate myself and find out the info on this elusive and mysterious album. To help tell the story on this rarity is the one and only Mr. Vertigo, Barry Winton. Who better to answer my questions than the Vertigo expert himself? Good to see you again, Barry.
Well, Jake, hi.
It's been a while since you've been on the channel. Too long.
Too long. I agree with you. I think, was Gracious? Was that the last one?
That's right. Well, as I may have told you, the reason why I'm here is I might have bought Dr. Z recently. Well, the main reason why I'm here today is because I want to find out a little bit more about the band.
Well, okay.
Who were Dr. Z?
Well, you come to the right person, I'm pleased to say. And no okays today. Well, Dr. Z, I know all about Dr. Z because I'm an old friend of the producer, Patrick Campbell-Irons. In his company, I have asked Patrick about Dr. Z, who he was, how the album came into being. I said to you when I'd done the Vertigo podcast before, Jake, it was never a band.
Yeah, that's right.
So what it was, Keith Keys was a history professor at Windsor University. He liked music. I think Pat Lyons told me that he was into things like white noise, cosmic sounds of the zodiac.
Yeah, sure.
And he envisaged this concept album, I think that's how I'd best term it, about a man searching for his lost soul. And before he recorded it, I mean, the thing about Dr. Z, I think there was a press release to go with this album, but they never played live.
Oh,
the
really?
album was done. There were no photographs. In all my years trying to unearth information about him, there really isn't any to give. And I think that's what makes it so unique. He played keyboards. He sung. Almost uniquely, but not terribly well. I think that's quite a way to put it. Evil woman's manly child. He's but what I do like about this record, I like the use of the harpsichord.
Oh, I love that, yeah.
Sometimes I think of this, and had they had a guitarist, I think it would have made a lot of difference. Now, because it wasn't a band, the musicians who appeared on this album, we've got a bass player, Bob Watson, and the drummer, who I think is a very good drummer. There's a drum solo on this.
Yeah.
It goes on for about 6 minutes with timpani, very good fills, one of the highlights of the album. Now the drummer, Ben Watkins, later turned up in a punk band, a new wave band called the Speedometers.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
I was going to ask you, did any of the members do anything
That's the only thing
else?
that I've kind of unearthed about what happened to Keith Keys after he recorded this album. Now, Keith, I think a different lineup recorded a single called Lady Ladybird, which is very different from this album. It's more of a freak beat single.
I see.
Pretty good. With a B-side called People in the Street, which isn't quite as good. But I think that's also become a bit of a cult collectible now. This album came out, I think, about the same time as Ramesses, Face Hymns. I think this was Black Sabbath. So after the run of, Master of Reality, Vertigo signed up, or they put out a lot of releases which were so obscure they didn't even make their recordings costs.
Do you have any idea why did they only make one album?
Well, because it was a project. Now, Pat Lyons told me that he was then head of A&R for a very short time at Vertigo, and Pat signed up things like Clear Blue Sky, mentioned before, and he put together a compilation called Heads Together, which was Vertigo's answer to You Can All Join In, but it was nowhere near as good. So this just came out, Jake. Very little promotion. I think it was one of those records which came out and it disappeared so quickly. I think the best track on the album is In a Token of
I agree.
In a Token of Despair.
I agree, yeah.
Right, and I think probably the second side is better.
I agree.
Than the first side.
Yeah.
I mean, Burning Anger is a good track. The way that it starts, some of the rows appeared on a Vertigo triple compilation called Time Machine, and that came out about 15 years ago, and that was a good representation of the band. But I do think In a Token of Despair is good, and I like the way towards the end of the song the cymbal comes in and it sets its mood. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a good listening experience, this album. I would say though, Jake, this is possibly the most uncommercial album that I've ever heard. It really is. And I think the sleeve, great fold out here, designed by Barney Bubbles. Did you know Barney Bubbles? No. Well, he was very much an innovator of the Vertigo record label. I mean, I think this is his chief de nerve in the sense that, you know, people look at this album, they always say, what a great sleeve it's got. The album that Bernie designed before this was Hawkwind's In Search of Space.
Ah.
So if you look at that, there's certainly similarities.
Oh, of course there is.
All right, Jake. I can't really think of another record label that would have put this out because I think that it's something which fits the Vertigo catalogue very, very well, the mystique of it anyway.
Yeah, of course.
And I think with any other label, I don't think it wouldn't have really been the same. It was just something which is so good about it. It's a good album though, Jake.
So it's a shame, don't you think, that some projects like those couldn't do anything more? Or is it good? Is it sort of
I think in a way though, Ben, had they done something else, they wouldn't have that mystique.
Yeah, sure.
Now, what I do know about Dr. Z, there was a B film that came out, I think, in the late 60s called The Diabolical Dr. Z, and I think that's how they got the name Dr. Z. Great name. I mean, you got that such a ambience about it, and you look at this, and you just always know, wow, you've got something in your hand there, like you've got something really special.
Would you say that's your favourite sleeve on the Vertigo?
No, I wouldn't know.
What would be?
My favourite?
Yeah.
I've said you before, Jake. My favourite sleeve would be undoubtedly Ramesses Space Hymns. And that is almost, had they not done their second album, Glass Top Coffin, I think that Ramesses could have the same kind of mystique as what this one does.
Sure,
you know, unusual, great sleeve, who the hell were they? I mean, Jake, you've got to remember, back in the day, there was probably a lot more money to record very uncommercial acts, and this is exactly what this one is. I mean, I know that people have tried to track down Keith Keys. Do you know a magazine called Flashback?
No.
It's a defunct magazine put together, which was a really, really good Richard Morton Jack. And he was an expert at, you know, finding people and tracking artists down. And I know that he tried to track down Keith Keys, but nothing came to any avail at all. I've never seen a photograph of him. I've looked on the internet. Nobody knows who he is. And I think, if anything, Jake, that's added to the mystique of the record. Yeah, it's a good album, definitely.
In your book, you rated it a 3 out of 5. Would you still stand by that after revisiting it?
Okay, I'm going to... Listening to it again, it's probably worth more than a 3, but it's not quite a 4, so I'm going to go 3.5.
That's a fair rating, I'd say.
Okay, there are bits in it which I think are really good, and other bits which I don't really think hold as well, but it's a very unique album for sure.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for talking to us about Dr. Z.
Well, Jake, I wish that I had more to give, but this is definitely, I mean, this is an album because so little is known about Keith Keys or Dr. Z, that it's probably will always remain what it is, and that's going to be a great period piece from a very, very good era of music.
As always, thank you so much to Barry for his knowledge, enthusiasm and company. Now, the story how I actually got this album was me and Poppy Dave were up in Leicester at a record fair. We thought we'd give it a go, we'd heard good things about the fair, and just at the end I saw a young lad who I'd already bought Tofat's second album from, wheeling away boxes, and I saw Dr. Z in one of the boxes. But the inside flap was sort of on the outside, so I knew that this was Dr. Z, and I said, "Is that a real one?" And he said, "Yeah, it is." I said, "How much you asking for on that?" He said, $1,500. At that point it clicked in my mind. A couple of weeks before, I was messaged by some random person saying, "Love the videos, I've got a swirl for sale that I know you haven't got, Dr. Z." So I asked how much you're looking for. He said $1,500. So I kind of got back to him saying that it was a little bit more than what I'd wanted to pay for one, and I didn't hear back. So I either thought that he was looking for more, or he was just in his mind saying, F off, basically. So that was that. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, I say to him, you messaged me a couple of weeks ago, didn't you? He said, oh yeah, that's right. Now, I had a look at it, notified Papa Dave that Dr. Z was here, and his face could just tell this is trouble. I was going to probably spend a lot of money today. We were back and forth for about half an hour, kept looking over it, checking it. Slowly, we got to an agreement, and we agreed it. We shook the hands on it, and away I went, spending all of my record money just about on this great album. Shall I actually show you the album? Let's go. And here we have Dr. Z's 3 parts to my soul. Now I just want to preface showing this off to say, as much as it is a great sleeve, I reckon this one up here is probably the nicest sleeve on the Vertigos, and Vertigo just has some amazing sleeves. I'm not saying this one is bad, I love the sleeve, and the artwork is absolutely unbelievable. That sleeve is more elaborate, but we're talking about this one today. So I would probably grade this a strong VG+. With Dr. Z, the covers are usually the things that get a little bit battered, and you know, because it's die cut, they always get torn. But this one, it's had, I think, 1 or 2 folds on the corners, but actually I think it's in really good condition. Right, here we have the album here. I'm going to give you a couple of close-ups. So as you can see, there's a bit of wear on the corners. The spine is still readable. We've got the catalogue number there, 6360048. And of course it's not a mint copy, but for this cover to not have any tears at all on the die cut is pretty rare to see. And now as we fold out the record, that's the sort of fold out that we have on Dr. Z, is these 2 flaps come open like that. And then this also folds down. So the way I actually saw the album in the box was like that. But of course, that's such an unmistakable sleeve. I knew what it was. I think it was just stored this way to stop the damage happening to the die cut, which is completely understandable. And I'm so glad that that's how it was stored. And then on the back here, we've got not only the catalogue number in the top corner there, but we've got all the lyrics, we've got the track listing. On the back here, it goes into the sort of concept for the album, because it is a concept album. The basis of the record is the concept of the division of the soul into 3. The spiritus, which represents the inherent good side of man, the side of beauty, gentleness, and goodness. The manus, or part of the soul which inhabits the underworld, more benevolent than malevolent, but mixing with the damned. And lastly, the umbra, the shade of the soul which refuses to leave the earth and stays to hoard the world. Just chills reading that concept. And then it goes into describing each song and what it is about, which for me is great. I'm not going to read it all out here, but if you're interested, go read the back of this cover. The concept is great, and it's one of the main things that drew me to this album. And the fact that such little is known about the members, and especially Keith Keys, as Barry says, just adds to the mystique of this album. Right, now, so onto the disc itself, trying to show the condition as well as I can. We've got the side A label here, and then just showing the condition, I would say it's a VG+. There is a mark here, and that's the main thing that I was a bit concerned about when I bought it. That's sort of the only visible mark on this side. Funny enough, when I actually listened to this album for the first time, I flipped it over expecting to see this scratch on side B, but I actually noticed it was on side A. It was not hearable whatsoever. So this mark is so light you can't actually hear it. And then side B, Burning Anger, is a little bit crackly. It sounds like someone actually really enjoyed that track, and it is a great track, probably one of my favourites. And then the rest of the album, I don't actually see anything else noticeable. So it's actually a really nice copy, and nice clean labels there as well. And of course, I only bought it for the inner sleeve, as Papa Dave keeps saying. I only buy Vertigos for the inners. A nice thing as well about this is, I don't know how early on it was written on, but of course that's the catalogue number for Dr. Z. So is this the original inner? It very well could be. So just before I reveal how much I paid for this amazing album, I'm going to give my opinion on the music. As I said already, I absolutely love the concept. The concept sort of follows the journey of the man's soul, and it's a very reflective album. It goes through each of the 3 parts of his soul, while on Earth, while in the underworld, and then after death when he's haunting the Earth. The fact that each song sort of plays that part in that concept is great. For me, on first listen, I've already given it 3 listens now. Side B was definitely better for me. My favourite track being A Token of Despair, which also was Barry's favourite track. But then after a couple of listens, I really can appreciate Spiritus Manus et Umbra as well. For me, that's a great catchy track. I would highly recommend you guys to go listen to this album if you haven't already. The last thing before I reveal the price of this album is my rating. As you heard, Barry scores it an almost 4 out of 5. So if it was out of 10, he'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. And I'm inclined to just about agree with him there. If I was being biased, based on everything, the whole package of this album, the mystique of the band, the great cover and artwork, the rarity and price of the album, I'd probably go slap a 4 out of 5 on it. If I was judging it solely based on the music, I would agree with Barry. It's probably 3.5, 3.7, 3.8. We can't do half marks, so I would give it a 3 out of 5, but if I was grading it out of 10, I would give it a solid 7. For me, the music is a lot better than what a lot of people said. I've heard a lot of people say it might be pricey, but it's actually not a great album. I put it on, and me and Papa Dave were listening to it together for the first time, and we were looking at each other thinking, this is nowhere near as bad as people were saying. It's actually pretty good. The harpsichord is right up my alley. It's probably one of my favourite instruments, and it had piano and great drumming, and it sort of had a bit of a doomy feel throughout. Not like Black Sabbath, but an almost despairing feel. And if you guys know my favourite album, which was my holy grail I'd never seen up to a point recently where I finally managed to pick one up, this is also a prog album. It's a little bit more lively, but it's got that sort of despairing, melancholic feel as well. This is one of my favourite albums, and it was the top of my list to get probably forever since I started record collecting, and it's my most prized album, Arcadium's Breathe a While. But in a similar way, it has that sort of despairing, melancholic feel. So for me, Dr. Z is a really good album. And something I'm going to integrate into my next band is the fact that on the first track especially, you've got vocals in one ear and whispering in the other. What a great idea that was. And it actually says on the back of the cover that his whispering voice is his inner conscience trying to speak to him. Awesome. Now the part that a lot of you might have been waiting for, and that is, how much did I pay for Dr. Z? Drum roll please. I paid £1,200 for Dr. Z, which almost triples the amount that I've spent on any record before this. Now I want to hear in the comments, did I get a good deal? And have you ever dropped 4 figures on a record? And if so, what was it? We'd absolutely love to hear it in the comments. That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed not only seeing my copy, but also hearing about the story of how this album came to be. If you like this one, check out the interview that I did with Barry, where he talked about 20 of his favourite Vertigo swirls. If you click up here, it will take you directly to that video. And if you like this one, you're going to like this one as well. He goes into the stories of a lot of these albums and gives personal stories as well about the people involved and experiences he's had to do with these bands. You're going to love it. See you next time. Bye-bye.